here we go. We are on Chapter 12 of Lois Lowry's The Willoughbys, another cryptic communication. They survived the crocodiles, Tim announced glumly, entering the kitchen and holding up another postcard. Let's see, what does it say? Jane and the twins wiped their hands quickly and rushed over to see. They had been helping Nanny bake some cookies, a very old-fashioned thing to do. Tim held it out and began to read it loud. Dear ones, he read. I wonder why they call us dear ones when they're trying to sell us, Barnaby A. said, looking puzzled. Nanny added raisins to the bowl of dough. It's a nicety, she explained, stirring. They're just pretending, aren't they, Nanny? Asked Jane. Yes, dear. Hand me those chopped nuts, please. Jane passed the measuring cup filled with chopped pecans to Nanny. They don't really like us, do they, Nanny? She asked. No, dear. They told me that when they hired me. What did they say? Did they call us terrible names? Barnaby B. asked with interest. Nanny paused in her stirring. Let me think. It seems so long ago I've almost forgotten. They called you... what was it? Odious? Tim asked. That's what I call you, Nanny. No, not odious. They called you insufferable, Tim. The eldest is insufferable, they said. They couldn't remember your name. And us? What did they call us? The twins asked together. Repetitious, Nanny told them. They said you were repetitious and tedious because they couldn't tell you apart. And your mother said you were greedy because you wanted 2 sweaters. I'm sorry I don't know how to knit, boys, Nanny added apologetically, or I'd make you another sweater. I do think it'd be nice if each of you had one. Me? Asked Jane in a small voice. What did they say about me? They forgot about you, dear. I actually was quite surprised after they left and settled in and found 4 children. They had told me they only had 3. Ooh, were you glad? Jane asked, a little nervously. Nanny wrinkled her nose. Well, I was sorry I didn't ask for a higher salary. I usually charge more for 4 children. But it was lovely to find a little girl. I do like girls, she added. She began to form the cookie dough into balls and drop them one by one onto a baking sheet. Would you go on, please, Tim, about the crocodiles? Tim turned back to the postcard, but before he began reading again, he looked up and said, That's heinous, Nanny, that they didn't tell you about Jane. They cheated you out on some of your salary. I always knew they were cheaters. Father always tried to shortchange me on my allowance. I had to count carefully every week. You got an allowance? Barnaby A asked with a surprised look. We never got an allowance. Never, added Barnaby B. What's an allowance? Jane asked piteously. Never mind, Nanny soothed. That time has passed, and I believe that we would all benefit, actually, if they were eaten by crocodiles. There is a provision in their will that I am to continue taking care of you if tragedy befalls them, and you, of course, would all be rich. Homeless, though, if a buyer comes along and wants the house. No one will, Tim said confidently. Here, I'll read this now. The Crocodile River was such fun. 2 tourists were eaten in huge gulps, but it was not sad at all because they were French. Father and I fought off the creatures with our kayak paddles and triumphed. Tomorrow we are taking a helicopter trip over an erupting volcano. We got quite a bargain because the pilot has not completed his training. Much more expensive to have an experienced pilot. By the way, when the house is sold and you move elsewhere, would you leave your clothes behind? We will take them to the second-hand shop and get a commission. The 4 children and Nanny were all silent for a moment. Then Nanny tilted the bowl towards the children. Here, lick. One by one, they scraped the raw cookie dough from the bowl with their fingers and licked. Nanny herself licked the wooden spoon with which she had stirred. The smell of baking cookies began to emanate from the oven, fragrant and warm. Tim, what? Will you give me some extra points if I have a very fine suggestion? Asked Nanny. Well, Tim replied, I've kind of stopped my point system. I would have given you a whole lot of points for the bowl licking, but I've forgotten all about the system. What is your suggestion, though? He asked. It's somewhat diabolical, Nanny said guiltily. Tell, said all the children together. We could find the second-hand shop and sell their clothes, Nanny said. We could, agreed Tim, but not all their clothes. I still need Mother's mink coat even though it's hot and weighs a ton. And I shall still need Mother's large hat even though I can't see when it's on my head, said Jane. And I still need Father's hat with the sweatband, Barnaby B added, even though it smells nasty. Eventually, when we are quite sure they're gone, we can sell all their clothes, Tim decided. Oh, said Jane in an imploring voice, do let's wish for a helicopter and volcano disaster. They all took a deep breath, closed their eyes, and wished fervently. The nanny took the freshly baked cookies from the oven, poured 5 glasses of milk, and sat down with the children at the table.